Simone, you are live. You are live.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our second dive of the day. My name is Simone, and I will be your underwater biologist, ready to answer your questions tonight. I've got the amazing Emil on camera with me, and I have Pat at the surface, ready to forward your questions at your hashtag on Twitter, diveLIVE, and you can ask us anything, any questions that you see or think of. Don't forget to type in the YouTube stream, as well as our diveLIVE Facebook stream on our diveLIVE Facebook page. I'm currently at the grotto, Devil's Grotto more accurately, and I have some pretty big tarpon hanging around me. Now it is a very busy day, so do tell me if you see some snorkelers, some divers around. I really want to try and blend in with these prehistoric fish right now.
Wow, this is quite a large school we've got here, Simone. How many fish are in this school? How many tarpon in this school?
I would say about 20 are in this area right now. It's quite gorgeous.
Looking very eerie there, just all very, very still and almost vampire-like, just hanging around there.
Yeah. Now they don't fear divers too much, and that is because they don't have many natural predators in the area. So
Yeah.
you'd be pretty relaxed too if you knew no one was going to take you on. Now this is Devil's Grotto. This is their stomping ground. And it is so because there are quite a few cave systems that they can hide out in.
Yeah, so they are nocturnal feeders, meaning that they hunt at night time. So it is 11 a.m. in the morning here at Grand Cayman, so they're not really looking to feed right now. So they like to hang out in the protection and the quietness and the darkness of these cave systems here at the Devil's Grotto. And we can see, we also know that they're nocturnal because they have a very, very large eye. And this allows them to process light more efficiently. And they actually, interestingly enough, most fish have this. It's a special membrane in their eye. And what it does is it reflects light back once it's already been retained in the eye. So they're essentially doubling the amount of light that they're able to get, which is why they can see so well at night time.
Yeah, so this is called the adipose membrane, which kind of functions like an eyelid. A lot of these silvery fish, like these fish we have here, have this. So it's a prehistoric adaptation. Another type of fish we get here is the schooling jack. It does the same thing. These scales that I hope you guys can see quite well can get up to 3 inches long. So really large, and I hope you can see the size they are compared to me.
Yes, they are almost as big as you, aren't they?
They are huge, so about 2.5 to 3 feet. But some can get up to 6 feet or so, and weigh over 165 kilos, which I think is about 380 pounds, maybe. I could be very wrong. My conversions are very good.
That one that was just in front of you, Simone, it had a remora sucking onto it. Let's see if we can, there we go. So the one that just, wow, whoa, that one that just got very aggressive just then. Do you think it's trying to mate with this one?
Oh, I do see the little baby remora. So this remora is getting a free ride on one of these animals. They don't suck with their face like their mouth. They have this weird cupping appendage that they can attach themselves with. And they can get huge, I mean like 2 feet. These fish that are hitching a ride on these migratory animals.
Yes, and how this advantages this little remora is that they don't have to spend any energy whatsoever swimming. So it's actually, I thought this for a while myself, that they were on there to clean the fish, but that's not the case at all. So they're just there so they can get a free ride wherever they want to go.
Yeah, it is exactly a free ride, and they can have the advantage of if a big fish or even a shark comes and takes a bite out of an animal, the remora might get a couple of bites that might fall into his mouth, or if he's really sneaky, he'll jump onto the prey, have a chomp, and swim back to the protection. Now, really large animals can have, like, I've seen, especially baby whales, can have about 40 of these remoras on them. So you can imagine it's really, really uncomfortable. So some fish have to learn how to get these little remoras off of them. And they do it by flicking themselves on rocks or sand, kind of like itching a scratch.
Now,
Scratching an itch.
That's that CO2 build-up, I think, Simone. Now, can you please just give us a little bit of an idea of how deep you are right now?
Yeah, so I'm at 10 meters. It's 27 degrees Celsius today, so about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And, the 10 meters is about 30 feet. And the visibility today is quite lovely. I would say around 20 meters or 60 feet, so I can see quite a lot, which is a great thing. Because I think I could just spy some horseye jacks schooling in the distance, so maybe
great.
I'll be able to go and show you them.
Now, horseye jacks, sometimes around the world, jacks are known as trevally. So if you know them as trevally, that's the exact fish that we're talking about. And we can see them all schooling in that circular motion off in the distance there. And I'm sure they're generally not phased. Actually, there is an anecdotal evidence that these fish actually are attracted to the bubbles of divers. So they're often pretty tame to hang around.
There we go. How gorgeous is this? I'm just sorting out some cords. Oh wow, these are juveniles. These are very, very small.
So how big would you say they are?
Gosh, no, maybe like 15 to 20 centimeters. Very small, so, normally we see them almost a foot and more. These are very, very small. Now, they do school when they are juveniles. 80% of fish school as juveniles, actually. And then adults are only about 20% school after they grow big and strong.
And we have a question here from Nia. She's asking, do fish ever take other species into their school or shoal? And that's a very good question, and they most definitely do. I don't think we can see it on camera now, but Simone, I believe there was some black durgans in amongst with this school here.
Yeah, and they adopted me, guys. Yeah, so it's really, really beneficial if your species doesn't school to jump on in with another's. Safety in numbers. They may see more food than you, so it's really good to jump on in. I often see black durgans, as well as larger groupers kind of cruising together, because they are predatory animals, so they're really interested in the same type of food as the other.
And Celia was asking whether we have Zoom yet, and sorry, no, not just yet, but we are getting a new piece of tech in soon, in the next couple of days. It should, fingers crossed, all goes well, enable us to finally be able to Zoom. So we'll be able to get some real detailed videos, sorry, of these fish for you.
Yeah, we are thinking about Zoom actually this afternoon, so it should be able to show you some more juvenile fish, more crustaceans, which are my favourite, as well as anything else like the detail in the corals. So you definitely have to stay tuned with us, but that doesn't mean that we can't see a lot of detail at the moment. I'll try and get a little bit closer to some smaller things and show you, and maybe you guys can compare the difference tomorrow as well, if we have installed our Zoom.
Yes, that would be unreal.
So now I'm heading to a bit of a more corally area, as you can see, in hope of maybe today we'll find some groupers. Now groupers are a predatory fish, lots of little teeth, but they like to come here to get cleaned. So maybe we can see them having a little bit of a shower.
And just while we're on what we're looking for today, CJ would like to see a nudie prank. That would be something that definitely is going to be a lot more achievable once we have this Zoom.
Yeah, definitely.
And we also have a request here for a... nah, don't worry, I've lost it.
That's okay. We love hearing your requests, guys, because a lot of things are achievable. I mean, you can see how much is just happening in this area, how much corals there are, little fish, sponges. So So is this something that you love?
So I did find it. So it's Pradeep, and Pradeep would really like to see a squirrelfish. So I'm sure there's one or two hiding in amongst these cracks and crevices of the reef here. They are just like the tarpon, nocturnal animals, so they do tend to hide away during the day, but you can't really miss them with that giant big eye that they have.
I think I found one for you, my friend. There's a squirrelfish in there.
So there you go, Pradeep. We have found you a squirrelfish. And there it is, right in the middle of where we are looking right now.
Yeah, so as Pat was saying, squirrelfish have very, very big eyes. So it's quite easy to see them. They are nocturnal, but that doesn't mean they are not active in the day. And they're one of the loudest fish on the reef. Unfortunately, we can't hear them. But I know that they make a lot of noise. You have a special thing called a hydrophone. You can actually listen to the fish make almost like a morning chorus, almost like birds. So they're very vocal. They use sound to communicate to each other, as well as find new reefs and new places to go. It's pretty cool. The squirrelfish are some of the loudest, especially at night. They have these warning calls, almost like grunts, like grr, 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 like a loud toad, if you please.
Wow, that's not something that people generally associate with the ocean, is it? Is sounds and songs and vocalizations. It's a pretty amazing and only a relatively new discovery in terms of marine life. So it's something that still people are shedding a lot of light on, and there's still not that much known about it, but they definitely do it.
Yeah, now I'm not sure if you can see this Spanish hogfish here.
Yes, so that yellow and grey fish with we've got a rock beauty there. That's not it, the one that you're seeing right now. But there it is, the Spanish hogfish right in the middle right now. So it's got a grey patch on top and a yellow body. So this is a species of wrasse, although these ones do tend to look a lot more like wrasse than their cousins, the true hogfish. But they still have, that cigar-shaped body and a big caudal fin or tail.
Yeah, and they're called a hogfish because they like to sift through the sand to grab their food. But it's really interesting because they have, there's a species of hogfish that sticks to the sandy area. And then there's this one that sticks to the coralline area, so they don't want to, cross over and compete for food, even though they have really similar feeding mechanisms. It's very, very interesting.
Yes, very much so. And so these hogfish, it's quite funny with the Spanish hogfish to watch them fight. So I have seen two males fighting before, and how they fight is they open up their mouths as wide as they can and essentially just start kissing each other. They wrestle each other with their mouths, and it's quite a funny spectacle to see.
Yeah, there are lots of gallant fights on the reefs, especially using the mouth. Obviously they don't have fists like us, they can't punch each other. Or maybe a karate kick here and there, but a lot of the fighting is done with the mouth, and you can really see that in eels. Eels come together and they battle it out, and they use their muscular force to rip each other out of hiding holes, and it's quite ferocious, if you please. And most predators will actually try and damage the eye of their prey, as well as opponents who are battling for females. They'll go for the eyes. It's quite vicious.
So don't forget to send us in any questions, and if you're using Twitter, please use the hashtag diveLIVE, because that is the only way we can see it. And Simone, can you give us your first air check of the day?
I certainly can. Now, I did start a little bit lower today due to a few issues, but I am at 120 bar. So how about we shallow up onto the sand and we'll go to the crest of the reef. That way we'll get a lot of light to show you the awesome colours and maybe a little bit of fish action. So we'll come up here. Now this area is, I would say, quite perfect for schooling fish like Creole wrasse, as well as some inquisitive sergeant majors. So we should see quite a bit today, and maybe some cleaning as well.
And great observations from CJ here. He asked whether that was a Creole wrasse that was on screen before, and it most definitely was, and I'm sure that we'll be able to see a few more because they tend to school here quite a bit.
They certainly do. This is one of their favourite spots on the reef as well. Let's see.
Now, this is quite a little, a sweet little question here for you, Simone, from young viewer Jojo Garza May, and they want to know if the lady in the water is a real mermaid because she knows so much about fish. So, Simone, are you a real mermaid?
Oh my gosh, that is the most lovely question or comment. I think I am a mermaid, but there's so much that you can learn about fish too and become a mermaid with me. So keep on listening and tuning in and ask heaps of questions because this mermaid would love to tell you more about the ocean that I love. So thank you for that. Now we have come up super shallow at this moment. We're now at 8 meters. And so this reef formation here is about 4 meters high and goes in depth about 100 meters. So you can imagine this is a huge block of reef right now. There's quite a lot of fish up here.
And this reef has built up through a process called coral accretion, which is essentially coral breaking down. When the skeletons of corals break down, it turns back into sand. Now, this sand collects in channels, and through processes of organisms such as secreting and binding and precipitating calcium carbonate or sand, they turn it back into rock through a process called lithification. So the corals are essentially just building on themselves over years and years and years and years, and that's how we get these big coral build-ups that we're seeing right in front of us right now.
Now we have some Christmas tree worms just over here. I'd like to show you because they're a colour that we don't always see.
Ooh, yes, so...
that you guys can see that?
Yes, so the two little spirally Christmas trees coming out of the coral there. Now this is a single organism. This is not two different organisms. That is one single worm. So Christmas tree worms are polychaetes, and polychaetes are a type of worm, a type of segmented worm.
Yeah, and the two Christmas trees that you see coming out are radioles, and they use this to breathe, kind of like gills, and also feed. So all the little particles that you see on your camera right now, they're actually pieces of food that this little one is filtering out and feeding with. Now they don't, you can imagine, if the whole worm is hidden in the coral, how are they going to know when predators are around? Well, they actually have photoreceptors. And these photoreceptors can sense if there's a bit of shadow. When there is some shadow, they'll retract themselves back into their little coral tube. And it's very hard for anything to come in and try and eat them.
Yes, and it makes it especially hard, because they have a special structure called an operculum that they can, when they retract back into their tube, it covers the top. It's a little calcium carbonate structure that covers the top of the tube, so they can't be sucked out by any little cunning fish.
So their operculum is actually just here. It has two horns on it, just at the top. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see. That is what protects them, and that's actually how you identify what species of worm it is. Now, I am not good enough to tell you exactly what species of worm it is, but that is what I would call a Christmas tree worm, and all around the world you can find them in tropical waters.
Well, this species in particular of Christmas tree worm was actually first thought to be just a single species, but recent evidence shows that they might be a complex of 11 different species that are able to interbreed with one another.
Oh wow, I actually didn't know that.
Yeah.
There you go. So there's a lot of interbreeding when it comes to certain species on the reef, because I suppose, you know, everything is quite accessible, and also a lot of things are spawners, where they just throw their eggs into the air and then throw some sperm into the water column and hope for the best. So crossbreeding is definitely something that can happen quite easily.
Yes, and this produces what we call a hybrid. So a hybrid is when two species, for some reason or another, are able to successfully breed.
Yeah, and it happens with fish and worms, and coral's a big one that can happen to as well. Coral's kind of mixing, and that's where you get really cool different shapes and different colours. It's absolutely wonderful. Now on land, that only really occurs with trees, so it's pretty cool that it's so rife in the underwater environment.
And we have a question from Lara Moore. She wants to know what is the plural of fish, and the plural of fish is fish. So some people believe that it is fishes, but this is actually incorrect. Fishes is sometimes used by ichthyologists, which is someone who studies fish, but this is only if they're referring to two species or a multiple of species of fish. So say if there was a school of one species of fish, they would still say fish. If it's two different species in that school, they would say fishes. But generally, it's just fish as the plural.
Yes, it's always a bit of a vocabulary thunderstorm down here. You never know what you're going to say. Well, me and Pat, we come from Australia. Or Pat and I. There we go. So, we actually say gropers instead of grouper, the fish. And that's just, enunciation and that whole jazz. We do apologise if we sometimes slip up. I always accidentally say things like he's laying down or instead of lying down and things like that. So feel free to catch us out on that. I need to better my English and my grammar.
And I mean, this whole pronunciation thing, I think, isn't that big of a deal if it's not in a scientific context. So in a conversation like what we're having with you guys, this is, what have you seen there, Simone? I think as
Peterson cleaning shrimp.
Oh, nice.
With a corkscrew anemone. Wow.
Yeah, just to finish my sentence, as long as people know what we're talking about, I think is the main thing. But this is awesome. So those two purple shrimp there are Peterson's cleaning shrimp, and they are hanging out just next to a corkscrew anemone. Wow, what an awesome spectacle here.
Are you getting those colours?
Yeah, those very vibrant purples. This is beautiful.
Awesome. How awesome is this? So these are Peterson's cleaning shrimp. They are called cleaning shrimp because they clean lots of fish, and they make sure fish don't have too many parasites on them. They're waving their antennas almost like they're doing a dance. It's because they're trying to signal to an animal, hello, come over here, I'm going to try and clean you.
Yeah, so quite often fish will advertise themselves as cleaners because they're less likely to be eaten if they're actually doing a service to the fish. So they can kind of take the risk of showing themselves and saying, hey guys, I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, this is awesome, exciting. Sometimes they might even jump onto the camera and try and clean the camera, so we try and make sure that doesn't happen. But there's actually a corkscrew anemone that they're on top of right now. So that's a type of anemone. We normally see the ones with the bulbous tips.
Yes, which is the giant anemone, and this is the corkscrew. So anemones, believe it or not, are very, very closely related to corals because they are cnidarians. That's their phylum, so the way that they are grouped as animals. So for a cnidarian to be a cnidarian, they have to have cnidae, or nematosis, which are a special stinging cell. And it's essentially a spring-loaded harpoon with a toxin in it. Or sometimes, it's not always really, really bad, but sometimes they can be very, very lethal. And so they are all along the tips and the tentacles here of this anemone, and they will use that whenever something comes into contact. So when it comes into contact, it sets off this spring load, and it essentially just harpoons this toxic cell into the prey, the predator, whatever it is there. But obviously, some animals do have a bit of an immunity to these toxins, such as these shrimp here. You can see that they're being scraped by this anemone and there's nothing really happening to them. They don't seem to be flinching or in any pain or moving away, and this is a benefit to them because they can hide out around this and not get attacked by fish because they will be scared of the anemone.
Yeah, so they're not born, you know, got my handy torch, so I'd be able to show you some small stuff today. Now, they're not actually immune to these stings. What they do is they constantly rub themselves on the anemone, and they get used to it. So they build up a tolerance to it. Their shell can still be stung. So if another type of shrimp came along and tried to sit in the anemone, he would be whoop, zapped and stung, just how Pat had told us he would. So they are always in contact with this anemone, similar to how Nemo is, so he won't get stung. If he leaves this anemone and comes back in, let's say, a week, he'll have to redo his anemone tolerance again, if you will. So it's pretty brutal training, but it's absolutely worth it for them.
Yeah, that's incredible. I actually didn't know that, Simone. I thought it was a natural genetic immunity. So, yeah, wow. No pain, no gain, I guess.
Yeah, some friendships can be toxic, but some can be worth it. Now, let me just check my I've got plenty of 100 bar with you because I did shallow up, so we will continue searching. I was very happy with that find. I do love crustaceans, so I hope you enjoyed it. Now we're back down on the sand reef.
We have a question about this reef from Adam. He's asking how old is the reef? Now, that's actually a really hard question to answer, but I'll do my best. So, this reef is a result of thousands, if not millions of years of coral growing and breaking down and growing and breaking down, and that's mixed with raising sea levels and also the fact that we're right near a big transform fault, which is a big crack in the earth. So it's where there's a huge trench offshore. So the upwards side of this trench, where we are on in the Grand Cayman, is just a big build-up of calcium carbonate that has been broken down into sand and reformed as rock and broken down and reformed over and over again as it gets closer and closer up to the sun. Now, paired with changes in sea level, this has meant that Grand Cayman Island, where we are right now, is quite often sometimes submerged with water. This is speaking in geological years as well, so this isn't, you know, in the last 10 years, this is over thousands and thousands of years. So the change in sea level has actually turned the island itself into a coral reef. And now, at the moment, this sea level has retracted back. So the reefs that we're on are quite old, but sort of also new-ish in a way, because they have only been exposed to the sunlight in recent years due to this fall in tidal level.
Yeah. There are so many different types of reefs as well. Actually, maybe we'll just hop in here and try and show them this bristle star.
Ooh, bristle star. We actually haven't had one of them live yet.
Yeah, we have not, so I thought, let's do it. I've got my trusty little torch out today. So I'm coming down on the reef here. Tell me if you can see it.
And we do apologise for the aeroplanes flying overhead. Oh yes, so we can see the brittle star there in the bottom of that sponge. So the brittle star is right where Simone's torch is shining now, and it's actually a sea star like your typical starfish, but it's a bit different. They are echinoderms, but as you can see, they have these long arms with lots of little bristles coming off of them. And they can move these and use these in locomotion.
Yeah, so they are called brittle stars because their legs can fall off very easily, which isn't really the best thing you can imagine. But they can actually regrow them quite easily, so it's almost a trade-off. I can move really fast, but my legs will break very quickly. And when I say fast, honestly, it's almost like a horror movie watching these things run. It's very creepy. They have a very small disc body with 5 arms coming off them. Now the deep sea versions of these are flippin' creepy and also very big.
So they actually have a structure called tube feet, which is quite common in echinoderms. So echinoderms is another phylum, and that's your sea stars, your sea urchins, your brittle stars, and your sea cucumbers. And what these tube feet are they essentially little sort of suction cups in a way, and this they can use this to crawl along the floor of the sea, but they also use this to take in water, and it kind of serves as a secondary vascular system as well.
Yeah, so they have a very quite effective hydraulic system, if you please. A lot of echinoderms don't have muscles. They really just use this method for movement and a lot of bodily functions as well. Now, the reason I showed you that one is because they are nocturnal, okay? So he was actually inside a vase sponge, and half of that vase sponge had clearly been eaten off. So he wasn't very protected, and that's why we could see him so well. If you do come down on the reef at night, it's covered with these guys. Absolutely covered. Just watch out so I don't touch anything. That's how I practice my buoyancy. Yeah, so brittle stars are pretty groovy, and they are all over the world. They do come in different colours, and they're very, very closely related to starfish. Ooh, huge barracuda right here.
Ooh, yes, just swimming right there. It's no questions about which fish it is. Oh, I thought it might be something special for Emil to swim straight past the barracuda. Oh, nice. So this looks like another hawksbill turtle.
Hello, sweetheart.
Now, we do have a bit of a population monitoring program going on here, and we can identify each individual turtle by the scutes, so the scales on the side of its face. They are individual like a fingerprint.
I don't think we need to see it. I'm pretty sure this is shark bait.
Okay, so we know it's shark bait because there is quite a large bite taken out of the carapace, which I don't think this is shark or...
See on the right hand of the
Yeah, okay, yeah, no, so we can see it now. But I will get the identification guide up just in case.
Yeah, I mean, turtles are sharks' favourite food. So, a few of them might have a bite or two taken out of them and still survive. I love this guy, or girl. We're not actually sure yet, I don't think. But I love him because he's so relaxed. You can just see how chilled out he is with us right now.
Now, we know that everybody loves turtles here that's watching along on diveLIVE, so please don't forget to send in any questions that you might have about these beautiful questions, and if you're using Twitter, please use the hashtag diveLIVE.
Yeah. Oh, he's so sweet.
And yes...
He's only using his front flippers. Oh, have you got a positive ID?
Yes, it's definitely shark bait.
Beautiful. So cute. And you can also tell because he's got such an undulating, wonky carapace. I don't know if you guys have noticed. But yeah, his scutes, which are the pieces of shell that make up his carapace, are kind of mismatching, and they've also got a lot of algae growing underneath.
Yeah, so that is because it's a key identifying feature in hawksbill's turtle is that the scales on their shell actually overlap, whereas in species such as a green turtle, this is absent. So that's a good way, amongst other things, to tell that it's a hawksbill. Another good way is by seeing the face there and seeing that beak that looks just like a hawk, and that's how they get their name. Now, Simone, can you please let us know how big this turtle is? Ravinda wants to know.
Well, Ravinda, I would say the carapace is about 2 foot, or a little bit over 2 foot, so that's about 60 centimetres. So it's just a juvenile getting almost onto adult phase. And when he gets a little bit bigger, that's when we're going to be able to confirm if it is a boy or a girl.
Yes, that's very also important to our population monitoring program because sex is quite important when it comes to turtles. The females will lay their eggs on the beach, whereas the males tend to spend most of their life out at sea. So Paula was asking how long can sea turtles live. So with this specific species of hawksbill, they can be known to live up to 50 years old.
Yeah, and I think a lot older as well for other species. They are pretty much living dinosaurs. And it's almost unfortunate because their sexual maturity is quite a lot later in life, which really reduces the population size when they are threatened like they are. Now this island used to be called Las Tortugas because there were so many green turtles. They were described in a historical record as there are so many rocks just scattering the sea. Pirates thought that they had to stop, but it was just so many sea turtles. So unfortunately those were the green turtles and the population has been absolutely decimated. So now we mainly see the hawksbills.
Yes, it's a bit unfortunate about that, but there are some programs in place to help rehabilitate these numbers. And it's also great just that we can still spend time with these beautiful, beautiful reptiles.
I think he's having a bit of a look at me right now, checking me out. So this size turtle can probably hold its breath for about 20 minutes or so. They'll probably be looking for a place to sleep and some sponges to eat. They're very chilled out. And you'll notice it's got some red and green stuff on its back. It's actually just algae.
Yeah.
It's so slow moving.
So that algae isn't really harming the turtle at all by being there. It's just sitting there on its back, and obviously as the turtle's moving quite a bit, it gets a lot of oxygen and nutrients from hitching a ride.
Yeah, and they do stop in cleaning stations. So they do have to get this cleaned off occasionally. Because if they don't, you can imagine how heavy it would be and how much it slows its swimming. How much it slows its swimming rate down if it had, you know, all of this algae trailing and a barnacle here and there.
That's a great shot of you swimming alongside with it. You look like brother and sister there, Simone.
Oh, yay!
Or sister and sister, should I say.
Yay! That's good. I'm getting so many compliments today. I feel like a mermaid. I feel like a turtle. It's wonderful.
You're just a shapeshifter in the marine realm. Lady Starfire is asking on behalf of her children, how quickly do hawksbills take to get mature? And generally for a hawksbill, it's 3 to 5 years to reach sexual maturity.
Yeah, and we don't really see very, very small turtles. When turtles are born to around the 5-year mark, this time used to be called the lost years because no one knew where these juvenile turtles went. Now, after a lot of research, they've been found to be floating across the ocean in seaweed known as sargassum. So it's pretty extraordinary that these tiny, tiny little critters will become ocean dwellers, fending for themselves until they find a reef like this to call home.
And so now Lara Moore was saying that she has seen a video of a turtle with a plastic straw being pulled out of its nose, and something very interesting about that is I was working with the people from that video literally the day before that video happened. So it is very unfortunate to see how our effect of plastic can really damage species such as turtles and so many other species. So it's a real eye-opener to see just how our actions on land really do have repercussions down here in the water.
They certainly do. It's so important to reduce your plastic use and be very, very mindful about where you put your trash. This one does not deserve to have to eat your rubbish.
Definitely not. And now, so as Simone said, this turtle is diving and holding its breath because it is a reptile, so it does need to breathe using its lungs and taking in oxygen. And the reason it's diving down is because on the surface they're actually a bit more skittish than down below. They like it where it's safer down here, and it'll be searching around the reef looking for its favourite food of sponges. So not many other species on the reef can handle sponges because they're made up of glass-like substance called silicon, and they produce a lot of chemicals and toxic as deterrents because they don't really have any other way of defending themselves. So hawksbills are able to stomach these sponges, but the toxins still do accumulate in their meat.
They do. Now Now guys, I want you to know that I do need to do my safety stop soon, so please send in any final questions you have of this gorgeous box-billed turtle. Sorry.
So sorry, Simone. Were you just giving us an update on your air?
Yeah, I do have to do my safety stop soon, so please send in some final questions. I think shark bait is going to go into deeper waters. So I'm going to have to say bye, little dude. Hopefully we'll see you soon.
see you, shark bait. Until next time.
Yeah, and stay safe. No more shark bites.
Stay away from those big scary animals, eh?
Exactly. Now, thank you so much for joining me today. I had an absolute blast. Please tell us what your favourite thing to see today was. Obviously, I love turtles. Don't get me wrong. But I love those critters and shrimp a little bit more. Now, thank you to Pat for giving me all the questions you guys had today, and thank you to Emil for being amazing at bringing to you the beautiful images that I get to see. Now, do tune in tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. where maybe we'll get to see another eagle ray or two. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you, everyone, no matter where you are watching from the world or wherever stream you're watching on. We hope you really enjoyed the dive, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.